Uh-huh.
It's interesting. We live in a time and a place where there seems to be this bizarre, uh, um, amongst some, I shouldn't make blanket statement, but among some, there seems to be this bizarre, contradictory nature of science and godliness, as though they don't, one doesn't, as though science does not, often just describe God's order and way,
Yeah. Yeah.
in a, not always, but often. Anyway, just the natural laws of nature.
Mm.
We ascribe certain, philosophies, uh, to other. We ascribe certain ideas, like, there's this idea of, or this quote, or, well, I don't know where it's from. It's moderation in everything. I'm sure everyone's heard moderation in everything,
Mm-hmm.
which is a human saying it may be Greek. I don't know. It's derived from a human place.
It
But
Eastern philosophy, I guess, especially
yeah,
Chinese stuff. Yeah. Go ahead.
but when you look at the natural order of the world and the way things work,
Mm-hmm.
there, and yeah, there's the Eastern philosophies of balance, and yin yang, all these things that prescribe a certain level of balance, but then they bring it to this degree of, they bring it, it's clearly, muddled and corrupted. However, if you look at the way God has ordered things and the way that He has set up the natural world, there is this element of balance that is clearly needed and necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you look at something like food, obviously you need food and you need calories to live.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have enough food or calories, you will suffer physically and your body will die or not do well. But if you eat too much food and too many calories, that's not good for your body either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you'll come to a place of putting extra strain. If you're carrying extra weight on your frame, like I had for most of my life, it's not good for you in many, many ways. And the science shows us that, carrying extra weight in a certain way, the health impacts are broad and far reaching, and kind of this,
Mm-hmm.
this, they produce all of these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reality is that that nature, we can see in nature how things, when they're going the way they're supposed to go, there's this beautiful balance that everything creates. Um, and then when humans introduce things, that are not right for like an ecosystem or something, it throws everything out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, did you guys? I don't know if you guys saw recently. They found the first murder hornet nest in, Washington. Have you guys heard of this?
Oh yeah.
This
Yeah.
there's this insect that's really
Mm-hmm.
bad news, because it like goes after and kills honeybees and all this stuff, and it's not really supposed to be in the area. But anytime there's an introduction of some foreign, creature, whether it's brought over from another country or
Mm-hmm.
is in the wrong ecosystem, it throws everything out of balance and out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, when it comes to food, this idea of there's a balance where too much is not good, but not enough is not good either. There's a clear, uh, window of ideal consumption of calories, that for optimal health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it makes me wonder, again, growing up in the church and in religious circles, this idea of the overconsumption of knowledge, even spiritual knowledge and supposedly good things. Uh, I guess Paul even talks about, is it Paul that talks about being puffed up, um,
Yeah.
with knowledge? Like,
Yeah.
how great, how much more closer is that to, you eat too much food and you get too large, you consume too much knowledge, you get puffed up. It's not healthy. It's not good. There's a big detriment there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know how that fits with spirit. I guess if I had a question, the question would be, what is there a reality of quote unquote overeating when it comes to um, biblical knowledge or spiritual things? Or is that a matter of receiving those things from the wrong sources? Or, you know what I mean? Like, is there or am I just oversimplifying, and over translating a theme? Am I bringing over a theme a little too far when it's actually not, doesn't work quite like that? You know what I'm saying?
Nothing. It's beautiful inference, to the spiritual truth is not too far. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Like, if that's the case, if there's a truth or reality in, I don't know, I don't really know where I was going with that as far as just I feel like there's something there, and I don't know how to not make it sound a bit childish or foolish or simplistic, overly simplistic, but at the same sense that clearly God shows us that there is a blessing and a joy in a certain amount of abundance. When there's an abundance, that's good in many ways, but an overabundance, like consuming something in an indulgent way, is never good, though. Storing things in the proper, when there is an abundance, doing what is proper with that abundance is important. To not simply, we have an abundance of food, so we don't, you don't just eat it all. You store it, or you save, or you share it, or you do something else with it. You don't just eat it. And to me, that's just, I don't know. Again, perhaps I'm oversimplifying certain things, but I feel like that there's some greater depth there that I don't that I put my finger on, as far as heavenly things, or I don't know. Or maybe the spiritual truths and reality isn't the same in that regard. Perhaps that's the one exception where if it's from the Lord, a lot of it comes down to the source of things, right? If what we achieve and pursue on our own versus what is given to us by the Spirit, and to receive from the Lord in a way, when He gives it, you consume it with no hindrance. But when He's not giving, we see in the world, and we see in other spheres, when the Lord holds back, when He does not give freely to a people or a group, but they don't understand that that's not the case. Like, I see in our current time, as the Lord stops working and speaking to certain groups or people, their lack of understanding, their lack of discernment in that, they would never, perhaps this is very presumptuous on my part, so please forgive me, but my perception is that you have a lot of people who claim to be followers of Christ, followers of the Lord. And should they come to a place in their walk where God stops speaking, where God is quiet, I don't think that they are able to discern that, and they just continue to consume from other sources. And they would never think, oh, well, God stopped speaking to me. What's going on? Like, well, I need to stop and consider. I need to be introspective and recognize what's going on here. But instead they just say, oh, well, God's not speaking to me this way. He's probably speaking to me the other way. And they just divert their consumption. And they don't realize that they're not consuming from the Lord anymore. And so there's this huge assumption that, oh yeah, we're still hearing from God. We're still receiving His wisdom and knowledge. But the fact is that they're not at all, because God's actually withdrawn, and that's, I don't know. I just, again, maybe presumptuous on my part, but I feel like that's a large amount of believers are in that place where they're consuming, but they don't realize that they're not receiving from the Lord. They're receiving from other places and other things.
That's beautiful. I think very insightful observation. So, do you have further thoughts to expound on that?
Uh, again, this is all off the cuff, so no, I'm just kind of talking.
It's
These
okay.
are these are it's a little snippets of the Lord will put a thought, a brief idea in my mind in
Hmm.
a fleeting moment, and then I
Understand,
I,
brother. Yeah.
yeah, no, I wish to meditate and dwell on certain things in a deeper way, and I find myself uh, not always doing that. So forgive me.
You're a busy man, a happy man sometimes. So I'm teasing you. So yeah, that's very insightful. Actually, very thoughtful. So